If you've been following Soil Stories for a while, you already know that I love turning small spaces into thriving food-producing miracles, but every now and then, a technique comes along that feels almost too good to be true, like some kind of gardening hack the universe accidentally leaked to us. And trust me, growing onions in a sack is one of those discoveries. When I first tried it, I thought it would be just another experiment, until the harvest came. My friends, the yields were insane. This method isn't just a cute space-saving trick, it's a fully efficient, highly productive, beginner-friendly, urban-friendly, and soil-friendly way to grow more onions than you ever imagined from a tiny corner of your home. Whether you have a balcony, rooftop, backyard, or a single sunny step, this technique works. So today, I want to walk you through the real secrets behind growing onions in a sack, not just the put soil and hope for the best versions you see everywhere. You're getting the Soil Stories treatment, relatable, hands-on, and packed with insights I learned from doing it myself. The moment I understood why sack gardening works so well for onions, everything clicked. Onions don't ask for much, they just want loose, well-drained soil and enough space to swell into those beautiful bulbs, but most garden beds end up compacted over time, especially in rainy seasons. The soil tightens, drainage slows, and bulb development suffers. A sack, though, it changes the entire game. The vertical shape forces soil to stay loose and aerated. Even better, it naturally drains excess water while holding enough moisture for healthy growth. The roots develop deeply and freely, with almost no resistance. The result is larger bulbs, healthier tops, and far more onions per square foot than a traditional bed can give you. And the bonus, sacks are cheap, movable, and perfect for gardeners who want flexibility. Before you rush to plant, let me share something I learned the hard way. Not all sacks are created equal. The best ones are breathable. Think woven polypropylene, rice sacks, or even gunny bags. They allow airflow, which onions love. Strong. Onions grow in layers of soil, so the bag should handle weight without tearing. Medium-sized, a 25 to 50 kilogram sack works beautifully. Bigger sacks tend to compact at the bottom. Smaller sacks limit your layers. I personally prefer sturdy woven sacks because they last a long time and keep the soil airy. When I first started, I tried using soft fabric grow bags, but they slumped and didn't hold the structure well. Lesson learned. If there's one part you should never rush, it's the soil mix. Onions are surprisingly picky about where they sit. A poor soil mix leads to thin bulbs or no bulbs at all. What works best is a light, fluffy, nutrient-balanced mix. Here's the approach I always use, and it works every single time. I start with topsoil, but only as a base, then I combine it with compost to provide slow-release nutrients throughout the growing season. The magic ingredient, though, is sand or fine gravel. This is what makes the soil incredibly loose. When your sack drains well and your soil structure is airy, your onions thank you with fat, well-formed bulbs. If you're using manure, make sure it's fully decomposed. Fresh manure will cause too much nitrogen, which leads to leafy tops and almost no bulb. I made that mistake once and ended up with the healthiest onion leaves I had ever seen, but zero onions beneath the soil. Let's just say it was humbling. Once your sack is ready, the process becomes incredibly satisfying. Onions enjoy being planted in layers inside the sack, almost like stacking a cake of future harvests. I fill the bottom with about 20 centimeters of the soil mix. Then I place onion sets or seedlings around the inner walls of the sack, gently pressing them in so the bulbs face outward. So, this outward-facing technique is a game changer because onions naturally push away from the center as they grow. By giving them outward room, you make sure they don't crowd each other. After placing the first ring of onions, I just add another layer of soil and repeat the process. The beauty of this vertical method is that you can actually plant 30, 40, sometimes even 50 onions in a sack without causing competition or stress. When you fill your final layer, just remember not to bury them too deep. Onions really love shallow planting. As long as the tops are exposed to light, they'll thrive. Watering onions in a sack feels different from watering in a garden bed, and it's important to get it right. Sacks dry out faster, but they also drain better. That means you should water deeply but not too frequently. When you water, let it really soak through. The water will move downward and nourish each layer, but don't water again until the top 2 inches feel dry. Overwatering is one of the biggest mistakes people make. It causes rot, attracts pests, and leads to weak bulbs. With a sack, it's easier to avoid these issues because you can gently lift the side of the bag to check moisture levels. If you want insane yields, sunlight is non-negotiable. Onions need at least 6 to 8 hours of strong light, and in a sack, this becomes even more important. Since you're stacking layers, each plant needs enough energy to power bulb formation. If you're growing on a balcony, place your sack where light is strongest, even if it means moving things around. If you're gardening on the ground, avoid shady zones near walls or tall plants. When I shifted one of my sacks just a meter closer to full sunlight, the difference was unbelievable. Even though onions are light feeders, sack-grown onions appreciate a little boost now and then. A light compost top-up every 4 to 6 weeks is usually enough. You can also use a diluted liquid fertilizer, especially something balanced or, slightly phosphorus-rich to help with bulb expansion. Just avoid high nitrogen feeds. They'll trick the plant into pushing leaves instead of swelling the bulbs. The sack method already encourages large bulbs. Don't sabotage that. There's nothing more rewarding than watching your onion tops bend and fall over. It's that unmistakable signal that they're ready for harvest. In sacks, this moment comes sooner than in beds, because the soil structure really helps those bulbs develop faster. Once the leaves flop over and begin to dry, it's time to stop watering and let the bulbs cure in place for a few days. Then, gently remove them. You'll be amazed really at how clean, round, and uniform they look. Because they grew in a sack, they experience fewer soil-borne problems, meaning almost every bulb is usable. When you empty the sack, don't throw that soil out. It's still rich in organic matter and just perfect for leafy greens or herbs. Honestly, sack gardening keeps giving even after the harvest. After years of experimenting, I can confidently say growing onions in a sack is one of the most efficient, forgiving, and space-saving methods you can try. It's ideal for beginners who want guaranteed results and, honestly, it's equally exciting for experienced gardeners looking to maximize production. It's clean, it's organized, and well, it's ridiculously productive. And it feels like you're unlocking a cheat code every time you peel back the soil and see layers of bulbs forming. This is why it belongs on SoilStories, because it turns everyday gardening into something extraordinary. If you've never tried growing onions in a sack, let this be your sign. You don't need a big plot or fancy tools, just a sack, good soil, sunlight, and a little consistency. The yields will amaze you, and honestly, the experience will make you fall in love with gardening all over again. If you enjoyed this guide and want more hands-on gardening ideas, don't forget to subscribe to SoilStories, hit the like button, and share this with someone who loves growing their own food. Let's keep spreading the joy of gardening, one sack of onions at a time.